if you're on the East Coast. Welcome to the Wealth Rules Podcast. I'm Vickie Helm, and today me and my partner are going to be having a fabulous discussion with you on if what happens if your salary turns upside down. But first, I just want to introduce you to Monique Wright. If you haven't met her, you're going to meet her now. She's so fabulous. Welcome back. This is the second show in a row after the big move.
Yes, yes. And I'm so excited to be here. I have missed everyone. And I know that your shows have been amazing. I've been watching them and yeah, just glad to be
I got to
back.
tell you, I'm really glad that you're back here personally. I got to say right now that you being here is excellent. It's more fun when we talk together. But I'm glad that everything is working out. Oh, there we go. It looks like our show is a little bit off on it's at 71% on the net. So it just popped up to 86. So that way people can find us. So how are you doing?
I'm doing really good. I am adjusting to the new lifestyle. And for everyone who doesn't know, I am a farmer.
That's right. She went from being a McMansion to a farmer. you know, hi, I sold the McMansion and I bought the McFarm.
Every time I say it out loud, my brain is like, what did you just say? Who are you again?
That's the kind of thing that is it's such a big move. It's such a smart move. So many people have done it. I was watching YouTube yesterday and I can't remember the name of the family, but they were a husband-wife team
Mhm,
living in Vegas, had businesses there, and were not really happy. And they sold everything and they
mhm,
sight unseen bought I want to say 34, 35 acres in
mhm.
Tennessee. And they
Okay.
they bought the thing and they just let go of everything and they said, we're going to make a homestead, we're going to make a farm on this 37 acres. So I'm enjoying them watching the build, watching everything happen.
Mhm.
And oh my gosh, some of it is a big work, but part of that farm that they bought had a ranching area where there were cows.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
the neighbor, lucky for them, came over and said, let me show you how to do this. Let me show you what you need to do because, they had zero experience.
I don't know how they were able to do that. Buying sight unseen and then having animals has been one of the things I didn't even buy sight unseen, but just dealing with animals and not having been coached for them to go to Tennessee from Vegas. I know a lot of people are homesteading and it's going viral to build, be on compounds with your family, but it is a different kind of beast when you are going from city life,
Yeah.
going from just not even, I'm not even going to say performing wealth and the whole drama that I've been doing personally, but just some people just from living in the city to going to a rural area,
Yeah.
completely different. You have to drive farther. And because you have to drive farther, there's I don't know, there's a time distance. Like I'm in the car and I'm listening to more podcasts now. I'm able to do things I wasn't able to do before, but I'm not in as much traffic initially. But I had to start with a garden, a community garden. I had to meet my farmers, my local farmers. I was being trained with my family on how to deal with farming. Like basically, it was a company, it's a business. Like you got to get your farm ID number like you would an EIN for an LLC.
Yeah.
You got to go to your city and say, hey, I want to do, farm. I want to do agriculture on my land, and in order for you to continue to do it as a business and a CSA, there's things you have to set up as a business. And just being able to do that, sight unseen, and go all the way to Tennessee with 34 acres.
Yeah.
I mean, my hat is off.
I know.
It's
There's
struggle.
another there's another family I know that bought this farm that was built in like 1849 or something.
Mm,
And they have a YouTube channel. They're called the Wardenberg Farm,
Yeah.
and they have this. It's about, I think it's like 42 acre plot, and they bought the farm, and their kids decided they wanted to live in the farm, so they built houses on this 40-acre property, and now the grandkids can run back and forth, and they help the grandparents. Everybody helps the family create their own assets, but they have an ag well, they have all these things, and they show how they had to restore parts of this 1849 barn. I mean, it's a lot of work, but they got a couple of few years into it. But the
Mhm.
thing is, once you start building what's your own,
Yes.
you suddenly get proud of it. There's this little secret pride that comes up. Now,
Mhm.
when we built ours, I remember I didn't want to have a full farm. So I was like, okay, let's do a hobby farm.
Mhm.
And my soil, building the soil that I have, because I live in kind of a way up in the wilderness, but it's desert wilderness. I'm in the desert southwest
Mhm.
of the nation. And the thing is, once I started building things out, the I start looking at my trees as my fruit trees are pets. They have names, and I
Mhm.
know it's not, this is apple. They have a name. It's not Honeycrisp apple. They have a name outside of Honeycrisp,
Yes.
like cutie pie and grows slowly, and I'm so proud of you. There's something about stewarding your land or stewarding it into that form of wealth. But here's the cool thing. I want to just tell you, um, once the farm has been created, and I probably have at least 7 to 8 years of developing and maintaining really good soil,
Right.
what happens is the price of your home goes up based on the agricultural ability in the backyard.
Mhm.
So, what is interesting on the acreage that you have, now that it's an LLC, et cetera, it is now a business. And instead of it being here's what the price is of your home, because you're a homeowner, you're
Right.
now this business landowner. The instant price that it goes up was ours was $125,000,
Ooh.
like just right up there.
I couldn't do that because of the HOA. They would not
Mhm.
allow that. So I don't care how good my soil was. I couldn't plant anything in the backyard.
Mhm.
And I think that a lot of people have that issue. But if they knew that they were not landowners and that they didn't own the land in their own backyard, that they don't have the permission to do what they want to with it, they would make the jump. And it wasn't because of anything online, it wasn't a fad. It was because of a conversation about ownership versus renting and permission based wealth
Yeah.
that we were building, and just being able to go to sleep at night with a certain level of discernment and peace has been life changing. It wasn't like I
Yeah.
was on Instagram like, oh, I'm gonna go buy a farm, it's so cute. Then I'm gonna have somebody else work it, and then I'm gonna have, a couple of videos up, and it's just gonna be the fake farm.
Mhm.
I had to get my kids on board. But first of all, my
Yeah.
husband on board. He was like, if you can get the kids on board, let's do
Like,
it.
how did you I I bet he gave you permission thinking, "You know what? If you can get the kids on board, because he didn't think you were gonna get the kids on board."
Hmm.
He was like, "It's your dream, you go, baby." And so, that's supportive, thank you. But how did you get the kids on board? I mean, I'm like, um, I see kids that if they're living at a certain level of I'm trying to say rich, but and
Hmm.
wealth,
Well,
like yours are.
mhm.
Yours have anything they want. They're really protected, private schools, blah, 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 all of it. But outside of that, how how did that conversation happen in your family? What did you do?
After my husband said, "Hey, if you can get them on board," I actually went back to pray. I was praying beforehand, but I said, "Let me go back and pray again, that my kids will see the vision." I just wanted peace, and I wanted us to be secure. I wanted us to have ownership.
Yeah.
And we were at dinner, and I said, "I need to have a conversation with you all, but you tell me what you want to do." And I said, "We can continue to purchase rentals. We can get another Airbnb, like in
Yeah.
Orlando, in Miami, wherever, or we can buy a farm. And we would have to get training. We'd all have to be devoted. We'd have to work it." And at first it was like, "No, let's buy another Airbnb." And I said, "Okay, well, what would happen if the market took a downturn and we didn't have travelers? What if the price of gasoline and jet fuel skyrocketed and we couldn't get anybody to our properties?" That made them start thinking, because they're critical thinkers.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. They think about stuff. And I said, "Well, what would you do?" So they try to give me some scenarios, and they're like, "Oh." And then they said, "Well, what about the farm?" And I said, "Well, we would own our own food. We'd be able to help the community. We'd have a farm stand. We'd be able to have it as a business."
Hmm.
And I explained to them, the economics of it all. And that's when they said, "Let's do it." And I said, "We
Mm.
have to start small. We're not that family that's going to go on, like, we're not rural." Not rural. And just us being out there ignited something in our community that I wasn't prepared for, but I welcomed it. Because once they were on board and God was in it, He knew what it was going to take. So they came on board. They started planting the starter seeds, and they started planting the starter plants. And the community started teaching us things about soil, about what to do when you have bugs, and we don't use pesticides or anything like that. About horticulture, about apothecary, so many different things.
Yeah.
And just being out there amongst other kids started coming. So yeah, it hasn't even been that long, Vickie. It hasn't
I
even been that long.
know.
It seems like it's been a while, but it hasn't been 6 months.
Wow. And it's so interesting from that conversation in that 6-month window. One of the things that has hit me. Now, I want you guys to know this is who she is. This is just how she rolls. She has also built an app. She wrote a number 1 best-selling book on top of all of this, doing this. She got her kids all on board. She moved from a community garden, bought a farm, and is doing all of this, as well as real estate, teaching people what to do with their wealth now who don't want to be market based, but ownership based. All of this in 6 months. And let me tell you, it is unreal to work with her. Sometimes when I tease her so much, I'm like, if I give her an idea, she sends me the application of that idea and moves it inside our app or the thing we're building and sends it to me that evening. And it'll be late, and I want to type back, go to sleep. But that's kind of the thing how she operates. And I have that same kind of thing. But you know, the reason we're talking about this is because it's coming, whether we like it or not, whether we know it or not, whether we believe it or not, it's coming. And there is a big Jenga game being played, and
Yes.
every single maneuver that you could make that won't knock the Jenga game down has been played. And
Mhm.
now we have to be very, very careful because we're teetering. So
Yeah.
last night at it must have been like 1 in the morning for you, but last night, Diary of a CEO put out kind of an emergency video, and it came out at 11:30 p.m. my time. So it
Mhm.
had to be 1:30 your time.
Yeah.
And what's funny was we both watched it at the same time as it came out, because it's the second video I've seen where
Mhm.
they were telling you, get your money out of the market right now. Get your money out of the market right now. And they're saying that the market is going to collapse anytime soon, which right now doesn't make any sense when you're seeing, 51, 52,000, 50,000 a market. But we've been talking about this for months now,
Months.
where we've been saying to everybody, hey, there's only 7 companies right now,
Mhm.
7 that are holding up the S&P 500. So that means there's 493 companies in your portfolio that are not
Doing
doing you any justice.
right.
So we're not market wealth people. But the question isn't get your money out of the market right now, is what do you do with it when you get it out of the market?
Yes.
How hard have you been hit? What are the
Mhm.
penalties that are going on right now? So the reason we it's kind of like we're moving from digital and analog living.
Mhm.
And in the analog living, it's like going back to 1940s.
Yeah.
You have a business inside your farm. Chris Martenson has been doing this lifestyle for like 50 or so years. He's been talking about peak oil and this for 15 years, and he's a doctor, and he does all this research, and I follow him all the time. But one of the things that he had time, he started long ago enough to have people be prepared. He helped them
Yeah.
prepare right
Yes.
now. And to me, I'm like looking at you, and it's like under the wire. You just snuck under the wire right here. And there's going to be a point where you and your husband are going to be working hard getting all the numbers and the EINs and everything else you're going to need in order to turn that piece of land into a business. But that's what your forefathers did when there
Yes.
wasn't a market. How was wealth built? It was built by land barons who had a business on a farm that was their second way to make income. In case a crop didn't come in that year and they had a bad year, there wasn't crop insurance like we have right now.
Right. No.
You had to actually build into your world ownership, assets, income streams. And those wealthy people who have continued to do that, ownership, assets, income streams, they don't invest in the market, they invest in that. And
Right.
that flipping the script
Mhm.
is going to happen a lot more because people are going to be upside down in their salaries. They're already upside down in the
Already.
salary.
What?
And
What? Go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, you go ahead.
What I wanted
No,
to say,
you.
what I wanted to say is that a lot of people think it's a conspiracy theory, or that this is just a fad. That they think everyone is going to do it until we really get. I get this all the time. You're going to do the farm until you get like a year in. It's not working. You're going to fail at it. You'll be back. I'm like, no, I'm done with that. My whole
Mhm.
mindset has changed. I can't go back to an HOA community. I
Yeah.
can't go back to permission based living. I refuse to. We're going to make this work. I don't have
You
a choice.
know, you're right. You're right. That's the whole thing. It's like um there are going to be people who are caught off guard. And the people who are caught off guard, it is going to be clear and plain. It is going to be factual right then that they're never going to recover. They're never going to recover because they waited too long. They waited for something to happen. They thought it was going to go back to normal. AI is here. There is no normal. There's no normal. Right now, there is adaptability. And adaptability, one of the most important pieces of adaptability is learning how to steward. Steward your wealth, steward your education, steward what you know, steward the land. I mean, it's stewardship right now. That's where we're moving to. But in this situation, one of the things that I think I need to talk about so much is how is it that your salary is getting upside down? What does that even mean? So, the first part of that salary being upside down is something called de-dollarization. And de-dollarization is the world not wanting to use the dollar as the reserve currency.
No.
So they have been working for years now, the BRIC nations, to
Mhm.
have these oil countries be able to buy oil from them using their currency and not the dollar. And right now, how long do you think that strait? The strait is technically open, but stuff's not moving. There's not stuff moving now. There's no deal that's probably going to be signed. And I go ahead, say it. I know you want to say it.
I know that stuff is not moving. I know what the news and the media is trying to sell us. But every time I go to the grocery store, we're out of things. You have to get it
Hmm.
from the next state. And I'm at a borderline. So in Charlotte, it's close to South Carolina, Fort West, South Carolina, Rock Hill, South Carolina. We're close to the state line. But you've got to go into the state. They're not talking about the state as a whole. You've got to go into the state to get the things that you really want. You
Wow.
already see it happening. So they're trying to tell you that things are going through, everything is fine. Why would I have to go to another state to get goods and services? And I'm in a metropolitan city.
Before I built 13 companies and I wrote 48 books, I was a police officer.
Mhm.
And the skill that I got, the one skill that I got, um, was investigating. That single skill helped you think about what you saw, what was happening, and what happens when you go to a crime scene. When you go to a crime scene and you walk in the door, you're at it, you have to deconstruct what happened because you're there after the crime happened.
Right.
And there's evidence everywhere. And you're looking at the evidence, you're picturing the evidence, you're being in the evidence, and you have to gather evidence. You have to gather it so that when you go to court, you're like, here's this and here's that. But you also have to deconstruct what happened. You have to deconstruct it in a way that you can prove
Mhm.
your thesis. You can prove in court that this is how it happened. First, this incident happened, which triggered this, which killed that, which flung this over to here, which splattered that over there.
Mhm.
That investigative thing from my, I was a cop for a very short time.
Mhm.
It wasn't enough money. And so when I went into finance, that is, I took that skill set and I've been deconstructing. So my consulting firm that we have is that we deconstruct what's going to happen. I would warn the companies that were part of our consulting firm,
Mhm.
market's going to fall, this is where you're going to go, this is going to happen, etc. And we're doing that right now. All you have to do is look. I'm not going to tell you anything today that you don't already know or that
Right.
you don't already can't find for yourself. Are prices rising? Yes or no?
Right.
That's
Mhm.
are the availability of the products that I normally have, are they available now at the same price they were last year or similar? No. Gas is up $1 still. It's not coming down. It's coming down in some places, not really in others. But the thing that's there is products and services aren't moving through the Strait of Hormuz, especially products.
Yeah.
And that's the big deal. The product that's oil and energy, that's just some of the things. So it's like when you're looking at your life right now, de-dollarization, just face it, you can go look. Do people want to use our dollars to buy oil? No, they don't. They don't want us. And do they want us to be the world's police? Does the world want the United States to be the world police? No, they don't.
No.
So if they don't want our dollars and we have close to $40 trillion.
And dead.
How valuable is your dollar when there's 40 trillion of it? That's how you're going to go upside down.
Mhm.
So let me just give you a realistic thing. The dollar's actual value is about right now 2.5 cents. So let's say you have $1 million saved up and let's put it in your bank account. You have $1 million in the bank account. And when the reserve currency status is taken away from us, your $1 million will be $25,000 the next morning. So
Right.
everything you worked, all those hours you spent, all that hard work that you did, your saved $1 million is going to be $25,000 in the next moment. And you think that can't happen.
That's the panic attack waiting to happen. That's why I'm so glad. I knew within myself that something's coming. Right. You know how you can see a storm from way off, it starts getting darker and
Mhm.
the clouds start looking, like it's about to storm, something's happening. I could just feel that. I felt like you have got to do something today. There was a sense of urgency. I couldn't just sit and wait anymore. It was like, you have got to act. You have got to act. And that's why I had to keep searching. There was just something inside me saying, now, go, go, go. Don't stop till you get it. Don't stop till you get the information. You need to be prepared. Because in my mind, if what I had saved up in the stock market crashed, that'd have been devastating. And so many things that we think are not market based are.
Yeah.
So many things that we don't actually own. It's just a piece of paper. Even the gold ETFs, everything that they're pushing right now, ETF water instead of owning land with water rights. What is that about? And I just started seeing, like, the veil just came off my eyes, and I started seeing what was really happening. And I was like, okay, you got to make a change. You got to start doing something different. And then
That's right.
I started seeing what was happening. That's when we had the conversation, like, we have got to share this.
That's right. You did.
It's not fear mongering. It's, you know what, we owe it to the world.
Mhm.
Get the message out.
Yeah, it is. And in this moment, when you take a look at de-dollarization, which is countries are not buying our debt anymore. So the way that Social Security goes out and all these other things is that every single month that check comes in. Well, the government has to sell bonds
Mm-hmm.
in order to create that money.
Right.
And bonds are a form of debt. It's I owe you this with some interest later. And
No
they
one wants
send us money. And right now, nobody wants to buy our debt.
it. Wants to buy
And
our
the
money.
thing is coming that most people don't know about, I don't know, it's somewhere between July and October. Not sure what it is, but we have this huge trillions of dollars that needs to be um, refinanced. And in that refinance, what's that going to do? Well, if you have too much debt and you need to refinance your debt, your interest rate goes up.
Mm-hmm.
Your credit score goes down.
Yes.
If your credit score goes down, now I want to let everybody know the United States credit score has gone down 3 times already since, I don't know, 2020 or something like that. But Moody's and all the big reporting companies have knocked our credit rating from AAA. We're now like AA plus or something, or double, yes. Anyway, but every time our credit score goes down, anybody's credit score goes down, the interest that they're paying on their debt goes up.
Yes.
Just how it is. So when this comes in, if nobody's buying our debt now, when it's time to refinance this debt,
Mm-hmm.
how much interest is it going to go up? In fact, some people are. That's why everybody's saying get out of the market right now. Get out while you can. Get out while the prices are high. So last night, Stephen Bartlett puts out this emergency. I'm going to pull it up here. It's an emergency uh, podcast. And I don't know if you guys watch Stephen Bartlett. He's DOAC, which is Diary of a CEO. And
Mhm.
here it is, billionaire's warning. I'm selling. The crash is already here. So it's already here. All the
Yes.
professionals are already saying it's here.
Mhm.
The thing is, if you feel fear and panic, that's fine. Just feel it for a minute. But you're going to have to do something, and you may feel stuck. You
Mhm.
may feel stuck because you're in a permission based life. Now, permission based is a set it and forget it
Mhm.
financial, building life, everything. Set it and forget it. This is what they taught you. And originally, you thought this is going to bring you peace.
Right.
But when they had set it and forget it, it's that you're going to own nothing and feel
Be-
good about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that be happy. And the thing is, ownership is sovereignty and freedom, and it always has been. This is what the wealthy people have. Now, I remember when Amazon was a little podunk hole in a wall, very small office with a dude who sold books, and he sold used books. And
Mhm.
over time, he's made this colossal thing. He owns it. And because he owns it and he kept building it and tilling it and growing it and producing it, it has become the biggest online shopping mall that there was. But it
Mhm.
used to be he sold books. So guess what? You're going to start out in that place. Hi, I got a small farm. And now I'm adding this, and now I'm adding this, and now I'm adding this. Do not look back like there is no normal over here. There is going to be collapse. Our dollars are going to be worthless. The money you have saved is going to flip. Your salaries are going to be cut in half. The salary cutting is right now. I don't care. You're a high net worth individual. They are coming after you first. Your professional job that pays you 250 to 400,000, 100,000 even. They're going to cut your work staff in half, cut your salary in half, and say, you can stay here, but you got to do all the work of this. We're going to let you have some AI to help you, but you now have to perform the work of 5 people. I remember when software came in, we had to stop and we were suddenly producing the work of 3 people, one person, 3 people's jobs, because software is supposed to make it easier and faster. So you should be able to do more. And remember how that felt? It felt exhausting. And now here's AI. And now that you're going to be able to do the work of 5 people, and it should cost less, and you should be able to maintain that way. How stuck are you going to feel when you don't have a plan B?
The thing that I've been seeing in person, with my friends and even online, other people say the same thing, is that they don't know what to do. They're panicking. What do I do? How do I shift?
Yeah.
I need to find basically another or a second income, or I need to get out of the job that I'm in today and find where I can get the money that I'm making. See, everybody thinks that they're still going to be able to make $500,000 doing the same job. That's not even, AI is taking that leverage right now overnight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not fear mongering. That's not, you know, the hype. That's what is happening right now. And for people who haven't felt it yet, it's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. I think
Mhm.
that they have us looking at what is happening to the people right now that it's happening to, and they're putting certain people on display, like Oracle, so that people can feel like, oh, I'm going to get a severance package. It'll be fine. But now they're online saying, what do I do? How do I get out of the job that I'm in? How do I escape this job and find another job that's paying me $300,000 to $500,000 again doing the same work? No, you've got to find a second business. You've got to be able to find something that is going to supplement your income. That $500,000 to do the same job, basically that AI can do in minutes that it was taking you 2-3 weeks to do.
Yeah.
What is the solution when you are out here degreed,
Yeah.
but a homeowner with a
Yeah.
lot of with kids in private school, with vacations, with
Yeah.
things that your lifestyle is demanding? You don't want to live on $100,000 when you're used to living on five. That
That's right.
cut, you can feel it. Like you can feel it. Like you're not eating now. You're not doing a lot of things. What do you do in that instance when you're looking for the way out and there's not a way out? Your degree
Yeah.
is helping you. No one's saving you. The director of who's the new director that's coming in for the Federal Reserve?
Mm.
Chairman, he's not going to save you. He's not saving you. Don't worry about who the
Mhm.
president is. That's not going to save you. What you need to do right now is get that second income and start building it, and start going
Right
from
now.
base wealth to ownership. That's the only thing that's going to help you sleep at night.
This is what I love about you. First off, this is a very get real conversation. And a lot of people don't want to believe this is happening. They don't want to believe that there's famine in other countries while their plates are full. They don't, we're Americans. This can't happen to us. We're the elite. We're the, strongest, most powerful nation in the world. Blah, 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 blah. Don't believe the rhetoric. Look for the evidence. You can look at all of this stuff for yourself online. But the thing I like about your conversation, Monique, is the practicality. You have to get real. The first thing you need to ask yourself, are you living above your means?
Mm-hmm.
If every time you're going out and you're whipping out that credit card to pay for, and I mean credit card, not debit card, credit card. If
Right.
every time you're whipping out that credit card to charge fast food, to
Mm-hmm.
charge for gasoline, to charge for food at the grocery store, to live a life that is like, oh, those shoes are 40% off, I'll take them, without thinking about what is your means. Most
Mm-hmm.
people don't know how to live in their means because this is the big toxic positivity. You do not want anyone in your house to feel disappointment. Oh, I can't have that. Well, what happens if they can't have that? What if they hear no and they don't like you for a few hours? They don't love you anymore cuz mom, I need these. That disappointment button is hard.
I was at dinner and I was telling you this because I know some people who had to make hard decisions concerning education. And it wasn't even the children, it was the parents that were feeling guilt. And I remember sitting at the table and they were like, I worked hard. I spent 20 years building up my savings, building up my finances. My job has cut my salary. And these are people who are in high positions. They aren't
Yeah.
middle management, who now have to come home late, work harder, take phone calls when they don't want to, but now they can't tell their children that they can do certain things, and they just feel guilty. They're like, you know what? I had the education, I put in the work, I climbed the corporate ladder, I did this, I did that, and now I've got to find a way to supplement my income, but I can't get another job because now I'm working three extra jobs on the one that I got because I got to do the work of three other people.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that guilt. I honestly, I thank God that I don't have that guilt, right? But I know I understand because I can empathize with somebody who's a parent who wants something for their family, for their kids, and have to be able to tell them, hey, I can't do this for you. And I was like,
Yeah.
you have got
That's
to.
that's the thing. They keep going further and further in debt, ignoring it. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And I'm certain that in my mind, I'm
Mhm.
thinking back to Noah and the boat, where Noah was like, "We got to build the boat. Sorry, you can't do that this weekend. We're building the boat."
Mhm.
And that's what's happening right now. There are families out there that are going, uh-oh, this is going to happen. We need to get a homestead. We need to figure it out and learn it. And they're leaving lifestyles like they are in Vegas. Vegas is casinos and parties and concerts and
Yeah.
mega celebrities coming to sing. And here's Celine Dion's,
Mhm.
residency. I mean, it's a lifestyle of
Yes.
fancy food, fancy restaurants. Vegas is where people go to vacation.
Mhm.
And these people are living there going, we got to give this up right now, and we got to figure it out, and we got to go do this. I have another friend of mine who has a soap company, and it's a seven-figure company, makes somewhere between 3 and 7 million a
Mhm.
year. And she grew it from scratch, bootstrapped that thing, bootstrapped it up. And it's been doing really well for her. But she got married,
Mhm.
and they both decided, you know what? This is really great. And we have this business and it's rocking. So the next thing they added to their business was their farm. And they were putting in like 60 fruit trees one day, and they were out there with the showing us, the sending the video to friends of them putting the trees in the ground and where their farm was and how much acreage it was. And they did that 2 years ago, maybe 3, because they knew this was coming. And trees need time before they start producing.
Yeah.
But they're perennial producers, and of course it's dependent on weather and soil and all that stuff. But then there's another very famous dude, Perry Marshall, who did the 80/20 rule book, that New York Times bestselling, he's an acquaintance of mine. I wouldn't say we're, like, call you all the time friends, but he then did all this multi-million dollar business, everything else, and left the city,
Mhm.
went to the country with his family, bought a huge farm, did the same thing, put orchards and gardens.
Right.
He calls his farm or his orchard God's country,
Mhm.
and that's where he puts it out there. But for Christ's sake, even Oprah Winfrey, I mean, she's a $1 billion. If you look at all the billionaires, they own farms,
Yes.
and they're buying them up at huge rates. So is BlackRock. I mean, come on. It's the number one thing you can have, is to produce food locally right now. Producing food locally is going to be the next big win. Now, if you can't move out of your HOA, that's fine.
Mhm.
You can still have a garden. You're
Yes.
gonna have to put it in pots. You're gonna have to put it in an area where it's, elegant and nice. There, you have to follow the rules, but you can still put a little food in there. And
The
go ahead.
the only thing I would say about that is, if you're like me, I didn't know what an aphid was. I didn't know what a hookworm was. I didn't even know what kind of soil I needed, because I'm in a area, and I needed someone to teach me. I had to go to a community garden. I would have had all kinds of pots and baskets and everything else lined up, and I wouldn't have known what to do. They have classes once a week. Like, people think that this isn't doable, that they can't figure out how to live from the city to the country.
Mhm.
Living rural isn't that much different, because you're in your home, you're eating, you're cooking, you're still doing your day to day. Like, I'm still on a podcast. It's not that you have to change your life completely, and now you got to wear suspenders, and
Yeah.
it seems harder than it is, but you've got to give up something.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, you've got to look at what you're doing. How much, if your income is going down and your debt is going up, you're upside down.
Yeah, full stop.
And how much longer can you continue to, just put your card out there before it gets declined, before they call that dead end, before you lose more of your income Because right now it's a little bit at a time. I've seen some drastic numbers in some conversations that I've had. Those are outliers. I'm like, wow, that industry sucks. You think about attorneys, you think about what AI can do that can replace you. But if you start now, I mean, I knew instantly. What was it back February? Like
Yeah.
it was. I didn't do this overnight, but
Yeah.
it didn't take long for the transition to happen. And that's the thing. If your income is being eaten away by AI leverage or just downsizing, period. A lot of the transportation issues, the logistics that we're talking about, supply and demand, it can easily make your job. I mean, it doesn't have to be AI. It doesn't have to be AI
Yeah.
in that economy. But inflation is eating up everything. So if your income is here and your debt is here, you've got to
You're
make
already upside down.
yes, you got to make
Yeah.
a decision to do something different to get
That's
yourself right.
right. You have to get within your means.
Yes.
So I want to say hi to Lisa. Hey girl, how you doing? Nice
Really?
to see you on. So anyway, one of the important things that I think is the practicality pieces is if you go to wealth rules, is it 5yearplan.com? If you could put that in, the wealth rules 5yearplan.com, you're going to get something that's going to help you make a few decisions about what you need to do before things crash. Now, what I want to say is the ice, the Titanic has already hit the iceberg. So the sinking of it is going to be slow at first and then boom. And it is going to feel like you think it's going to feel.
Mhm.
It is going to be unnerving, and it is going to be a test that is going to bring us to our knees.
Yes.
And the thing about that is it's the value of the money you are forced to use, the
Mhm.
value of the money you are forced to use that is um, going to be the issue. The buying power, the inflation, the de-dollarization,
Mhm.
we're teetering even without the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz will put it over here. Let's say it's just open and working like it always has. This here is the primary reason you need a secondary income
Yes.
that comes in.
Yes.
So the first thing you have to do is get real. And what she's talking about is if you're using your card and your salary's down here and there's too much month at the end of the money, you need to go to the wealth rules 5yearplan.com and just start noticing. Noticing, go take this. This is a literal plan that will help you evaluate where you are compared to where you need to be,
Mhm.
and you have to get real with the conversation. So, all those parents that are afraid to make their kids feel disappointed,
Yes.
would they be more disappointed if they had to give up this or if they were homeless? Would they be more disappointed if they had to give up a private thing or if they had no food on the table? You have to figure out where the disappointment list is going to be. And
Yes.
I'm like, okay, if we stop this, but then we still have a home and a roof over our head and food on the table. If you look at how your energy costs are climbing right now, and you think, oh my gosh, in order to keep us warm at night, I may have to give up this, you can just ask them. It is just absolutely the most important thing you can do. Hey, Henry, nice to see you on. And what happens is you have to give them the conversation at the table. We
Yes.
can get rid of this. These are our choices. Which one do you think is best? They're going to be, they need to be, and have to be part of the conversation. I
Mhm.
don't care if they're 10 years old,
Yes.
because in another 10 years, they're going to be an adult.
Mhm.
We're still working out what we're doing, what the thing that's happening right now. So you want to take a look at how over your means are you looking at. But the first thing you have to do is you have to stop. your set it and forget it life.
Yes.
I have bill pay online. I have everything. My check goes in there. I don't even look at it. I have my credit card. I can just tap and walk and go. They want you to ignore your money. They
They
want you to ignore your habits. They want you to be comfortable in it. And because of that, you're going to be in ruins when this happens because you may be upside down in your paycheck already. You may be upside down in such a way that you don't know you're near collapse, just like the country is near collapse. And if your market based wealth is up and you're like, it's at 52 right now, we're setting records, high five. But next week, you lose 70% of the value in your market, and inflation is eating the other 30% of it faster than you can go. Then what?
And too, Vickie, what I want to share is that even right now with real estate, I see a lot of people trying to sell off
Mm-hmm.
because people are leaving and going home.
Yep.
People are leaving rental properties that you have, and now you've got to eat that mortgage. Your income is decreasing, and now all your outcome, all your income that's going out, your expenses, is eating up. Forget inflation. But even now, your assets that are market based are eating up your income. So they're like, hey, what can we do to get ready to sell our property?
Yeah.
Like, well, you're not going to get the money back out of it. I mean, we're doing return on equity analysis, and it's not there. You weren't good in the first place. Now you're really bad. You're upside down. You probably need to wait. But then too, if you wait, and everybody is trying to sell their investment properties, everybody is out here
Yes.
upside down financially because what are you going to do when your debt is so enormous and your credit card when your credit cards are up so high? I don't know because it's been a minute since I even had to think about it. But and you tell me if I'm wrong or help me out. You get your credit card, right? And I know at some point they're going to ask you, or they're going to check your credit score again, and they're going to check your income again at some point. And if it's not where it needs to be, they're going to lower if your income isn't there, they're going to lower your affordability on your credit card. So let's say you have $8,000 that you can spend, they might cut it down to 40,000. And if you're right at your limit, guess
Yep.
what? Now your interest rate is high. You're going to be over your limit. You're going to start having fees and penalties, and it's a whole mess. So today's conversation, how to get turned right side up with your income, is so important. Let's get in front of it. Who wants to be the person that's stressing out at night, can't sleep, on Reddit asking questions, and not knowing de-dollarization's coming? Not understanding that the government has debt and nobody wants to buy it.
That's
Nobody
right.
wants to buy our bonds. Nobody wants to help us. They want to see America fall. Nobody is rooting for us at this point.
That's right.
And nobody is going to save you. No one is coming out here and saying, you know what, wow, AI is taking jobs. You know what, that's not right. Let's go ahead and just give you a bonus at the end of the year. No one is coming to save you. No one is
That's right.
going to put food on your table. And when your kids are looking at you, they're not going to be looking at me. They're not going to be looking at Vickie. They're going to be looking at you. And if you don't have those conversations and if you don't deal with it now, it's inevitable.
Yeah. And there's some good news I want to say. I mean, there's good news,
Yeah,
and I want to do that. But the thing is, you have to evaluate where you are right now.
yeah.
And then once you're evaluated, if you know the margin, that's the number you want to pay attention to. What's that margin? That margin is the difference between what you're making and what you're missing. And for a lot of families, it's between $1,000 and $5,000 a month. If they had an extra 1,000 to 5,000 a month, they could bring everything back down and under control. The thing that is a mystery for me is I do not know, I don't know what the value of inflation is going to be at that. Is it going to be 6, 7%? I don't know. So there are some unknowns. But if you have a second way to make income that is about stewardship and not passive income, not rental properties, not anything that you have to leverage, The thing is, wealth by leverage isn't wealth. Ownership is wealth.
Right.
Leverage is responsibility, it's obligation.
Mhm.
Ownership is outright, I have this. Now, I know the US government is thinking about creating a basket of cryptocurrencies to back the dollar so that the dollar doesn't lose so much value, so it saves the day. And they have the Clarity Act
Yeah.
that they were hoping to pass by 4th of July, which I don't think it's going to happen, where there's a debate on these online digital currencies. In my opinion, I have been with digital currencies since the first one I bought was 50 bucks
Hmm.
way back in the day. And I haven't seen digital currencies go to zero. And
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to zero because we don't have another solution. There isn't enough gold to buy or find. We can't mine it right now fast enough because some of the mines are literally closed down based on how much oil and gas it takes to extract these
Hmm.
metals
Yes.
and which ones are more important. So, as we take a look at this, I think that the cryptocurrency markets are going to see days that people never expected.
Yes.
And that's just my opinion. It is not financial advice. You do
No.
your own research, you do
But
your own learning, you do your own looking. And I know that right now, there are things and opportunities that are going to happen. So, one of them is that the housing markets, you have to be careful right now because you are competing with private equity firms that are buying up all these houses and they're buying as many as they can buy. So while the market is falling, the buyers are coming out and swooping them up as much as they can. So let them buy all the HOA property. You need property that is not in an HOA that you
they need
can say again.
so they need land.
Yes, they need land. That's the thing, land that you can produce that grows food. And, if you have a way to put a well on it, if it has a well or water, you have such an awesome asset. You have no idea. But there are things that are coming that you have to understand the difference between permission based and ownership. And that's what most people don't understand.
Hmm.
When you earn the money, and you put that money, even if it's dollar cost averaging, because that's dollar cost averaging right now, I think is crazy because it gets you, it's like dollar cost averaging is getting that payment in there without you noticing. It's set it and forget it money. While the markets are being held up by the Magnificent Seven and not real growth, there's not any real growth.
No.
And the thing that we think our economy is based on everything growing and growing and growing and growing and growing at nauseum for the rest of our life, growing and growing. Well, guess what? If it we're hitting a stasis point
Hmm.
where it's flat. There is no growth. And let's accept that. We can't have growth until we get practical and absolutely clear about what it is for us. That's why go to Wealth Rules
Hmm.
5, number 5 yearplan.com. Wealth Rules 5 year plan. On that plan, actually, will you tell them a little bit about that? Because, man, I got to get a drink.
Yes. So the Wealth Rules 5 Year Plan, that's the number 5.com, lets you know exactly where you're at today with your job, your income, what your net worth is, and it helps you to understand what would happen if AI took, well, AI leveraged your job and it took your income down, and what you can do ownership wise
Mm-hmm.
within the next 5 years to increase what you're doing. So everyone is saying right now, oh my God, AI is taking jobs and it's decreasing salaries. Sure, but what are you going to do now that you've heard that, now that you know that, what are you going to do? And we, Vickie and myself, we like 10-year plans, right? You don't have 10 years to figure it out. Most of us have already seen a lot of people that we know already impacted by it. So with a 5 year plan, what it does is it shows you what to do in the blueprint to write it out for the next 10. And if you go to Wealth Rules 5 year plan, where you're at today, if AI hasn't already impacted you, what it will look like if it does come for your job in particular, in your industry, and then what can you do about it? How can you increase your income and be an owner versus a passive investor
Mm-hmm.
or in anything else? And we always talk about ownership and not investing in the market and things like that. But if you already have it in the market, right? Like 30% of my net worth right now, most of it's digital, but the part that is market based, I can't touch it. Like at this point, like I would lose my mind. I would have lost my mind had I still been as heavy as I was, and the market took a downturn. I don't know, like what would we have done? We wouldn't have. I probably would be somewhere crying, and my kids would be like, "What's going on? We got to figure this thing out." I don't know. Like at that point, I'm out of whack. Like I can't even think straight.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is what helps you to sleep at night. Having a plan in place, understanding where you're at, what could happen, and how to avoid it. That's the Wealth Rules 5 year plan.
And here's the thing, you're going to have to make a pivot. Eventually, what did they call it when the something comes roosting, or when it comes to roost? I can't remember the slogan.
I know what
It's
you're talking about. I can't think of
yeah, but when it comes home, your debt comes home to roost.
it.
When you have to face that fact, the pivot is going to happen.
Yeah,
Here's the difference. If you pivot now, you want to know why you need to pivot and where. Don't just make a pivot. People are like, well, my friends do it. He's really cool. It's a good idea. I'm going to do that. It may not be right for you at all. Stop. The
mhm,
reason you take the evaluation is so you know how you have to pivot. You
yes,
know what you need to do, and you get really clear on that. So just pivoting because you think that's going to work, that could break the bank even more. You don't know. And so
right.
what happens is I want to talk to those people who know about this, but they are married to Bridezilla or Groomzilla. And what happens is they are spender, 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 spender. And you're like, babe, we gotta, babe, we gotta, we, babe, we gotta. That's not gonna happen. That's not here. That's not real. That's not true. That's a person who is not interested in you.
No,
If they cannot, I'm going to just get clear. If you have a groomzilla or a bridezilla and they are not willing to go over here and you've been holding up their ego in public, like, oh yeah, I got this fancy car and I got this because my wife brings home the bacon. My husband brings home the bacon. You need to whoa. You need to whoa them. And I know that a lot of times you've been taking care of your bridezilla or your groomzilla because you don't want them to leave you. You want them to continue loving you. But guess what? You're going to take a hit. And if that person isn't willing to stay with you, then just get to the point where in your heart, you finally accept, in your heart, you accept that they don't really want to be with you. They want you to provide for them.
yes,
Now, you want a partner in life, somebody that's with you. And I know it's like, me and my boys, we're going here, and me and my boys, we're going there, and I need to go see the Knicks, and I got to go see this football game, and I got to have these beers, and I got to be in my,
and
whatever male
and
shoes.
you're in the suite. You have to have the suite.
Yes, that's right. Uh-huh. And I want all the food and the thing and the high
Mhm.
five. And that's performing wealth. You can enjoy the game, any game, in the cheap seats or the good seats. It doesn't change how the game is played. If you watch it from the balcony and everything else, and you're in the clubhouse, and it's all cool, that makes you feel special, but it's not reality.
Yeah.
And all of that specialness, all that performing wealth, I know that I'm going to be honest, I'm not naming names. I have a friend and she is a glamazon and she is also a shopaholic. And she hides from her husband all the things that she buys.
Mhm.
And she'll go out with the girls and they go shopping because that's what the girls think is fun is like, hey, let's go shopping and we'll go out to lunch and we'll go shopping. And so right away, everybody's watching how much everybody is spending or whether they're spending or not. And so what ends up happening is this girl would go shopping and she would come home with like maybe they went to Bed Bath Beyond and she got soaps and lotions and towels and things and she bought it all and she celebrated all the oh my god, look at us and look at our haul. Come on, women. You have YouTube channels that are all about look at my haul, look what I bought, look what I got, look what I shopped
Vickie,
for.
stop,
Look at the
stop
deal.
stepping on my toes. No, I'm just kidding. That, you know, what you're saying right now is so important because this soft life era and oh, I can shop. And I remember times not too long ago, 2025, I'm just being honest and transparent. I would go shopping and I would say, you're not going to buy that? Oh, it's so cute.
Mhm.
Or where did even Marcus, oh, that might be too much. No, it's not. You deserve it. You work hard, get it. Never wear it because peer pressure.
Mhm.
Never even return it. Never do anything else. You just spent money for nothing because you were with your friends shopping. And I've been the person to say, oh, buy that, get that. Oh my God. Put it on your car. You'll be fine. That lifestyle, that mindset that you're talking about, that groomzilla and that glamazon, and this soft life right now where my husband is the breadwinner and I'm just going to go shopping and spend my time at the mall and go on a cruise, get on the boat in the middle of the lake and just enjoy my day and then go to brunch. You're blowing through money. You're getting debt ridden and gone are those days. I'm here to tell I can speak to it. I can tell you right now you need to stop. You need to cut it out. I had to cut it out. I mean, it's a hard truth, but you cannot keep doing that to people. It's not fair to your spouse. It's not fair to your friends. And
Yeah.
honestly, at this point, I had to cut some people off.
Yeah, I my friend that I was talking about that
Mm-hmm.
she would come home from shopping and I ran a business with her husband. We were partners. And when he wasn't looking, she would give it all to me for free and she would be like, "Don't tell my husband. You just put it in your car and stuff." And I had all this stuff coming in for free and I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to betray her. She's my friend and I thought, "Wow, he's getting his butt kicked."
Right.
And I'm like, if you have debt infidelity with your spouse, you are headed for a divorce and you deserve to be that in that divorce. If you're like trying to sign out that loan to do everything else and your spouse doesn't know about that, you're a jerk.
Mm-hmm.
You are
Yeah.
absolutely a jerk and you are financially doing nothing but using them and you don't deserve them. You don't. And if you get to the point where you this is why this thing is so important. If you get to the wealthrules5yearplan.com, just get honest and see where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
Then you'll know what you need to pivot from. You'll
Yes.
know that what you need to pivot and how you need to pivot. So it's the rule that in your marriage, if you both decide on something, and the key thing is the kids. I don't mean to say this about marriages, but most fights are about sex and kids. And
Mm-hmm.
so the kids, what they want, the disappointment and everything else they feel, you don't want to be the bad parent. So you make the other parent say no. No, you need to come as a partnership. You need to sit at the table and say, these are our family, our kids. We're turning a new leaf. We're turning this pivot, and this is why we're doing it. Now, let me just tell you, your kids are going to grow up and they're going to be adults and they're going to have challenges. And they're
Yeah.
either going to know how to handle the challenges because you've been the example for them, or they're not going to know how and they're going to fight and be angry and drink or do whatever they do or blame their partner. They blame their partner for the situation they're in. And so what happens is you actually want critical thinkers, people that can maneuver the way through them. So
Mhm.
model that for them, be that for them. Let them see what you give up. Well, I'm not going to be doing this anymore because I want to cut back, and everybody's going to cut back a little bit. And that means that this isn't going to happen. And maybe there's no more karate lessons or no more whatever. But the thing is, you have to inform them of what's happening and why. Now,
Vickie,
many yes.
I want to say this briefly that in my household, I would say you got to give up Uber Eats. We're not door dashing. We're not having, like, you already had a meal. Why are we door dashing junk and this stuff? But then my husband was like, well, what are you going to do about your car?
What are you going to do about your car?
Honestly,
Not my Benz.
right. I was like, you know what? Some things we just, I would feel like somebody's stabbing me. That's just the reality of it. You've been doing this so long that it's a process. But you've got to give up something while they're giving up something. You've got to have them pattern after you, not before you.
Yes.
And so what I
Yes.
started saying was, okay, you won't see any more packages from Dior, and I won't see any more door dashes being dropped off. They were like, what? Yes. They know that's my guilty pleasure. I'm all about soaps and perfumes and smell goods, and I like to walk in a room and you smell me after I leave, and it's just the aura of it all. Like that's one thing. So do I have enough already that I can last probably the next 20 years? Sure. But I had to say, if I'm going to ask them to stop and to start making better habits financially, then we've got to sit down together collectively and say, if I give up this, what are you going to give up?
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh man, are you really going to give that up? And then they just see me stop.
Yeah.
It was like, quitting cold turkey.
Yeah, and some of it might be as simple as not, give up liquor. I
Yeah.
mean, you may not be an alcoholic and you may be a light drinker, but liquor's expensive. And if they see you giving up a privilege, then they can give up a privilege too. And DoorDash, come on, that's a privilege. And when you have a mama that cooks at home, you have no reason to have DoorDash. None. Zip. Nada. You're just eating so that the experience or the fun of eating it is, I'm like all of that Uber Eats and DoorDash could stop for people. And family meals always so important. And there's a lot of people that would like it. Now I want to talk to everybody else. Some of you may be in such bad shape that you have to work together. Now, I want to talk to you people who make 500,000 and have debt at 500,000. Let me just tell you what's going to happen when the equity in your home falls. Because let me ask you something. If the market lost even just 50% of its value right now, if the market crash happened and it lost 50% of the value, and you're maxed out to your equity in your home and you lose 50% of it, can you see you'd be upside down in your salary, upside down in your mortgage, and upside down in your entire life? So, maybe you lose it all and you have to learn to live with parents or brothers and sisters or family members of any kind. Maybe you're all in there. So, you young people, don't relax at home. Like, oh, my parents are here. I'm safe. I'm fine. I'm covered. They got me. That's not the thing. You need to help out. It's like you're an adult. You're an adult in their house And it's no longer that you're a child. If you're at home, you are there. Even if you learn to have an online business, go have an online business. If you don't have an online business, if you can't pay them rent, then mow the damn lawn,
Mhm.
do the dishes, start cooking a meal, but stand up as an adult. You don't want to be a burden. You want to be a member of the family. And that's something that is absolutely there. It's like you want to feel good about yourself, then put down the frickin' video game in the basement of your parents' house and get the vacuum cleaner out and go upstairs and use it to vacuum the carpet without being asked. What most people are doing now is they're like, "Hey mom, I'm graduated college, ain't nothing happening." You and parents tell you, "Well, as long as you're looking for a job, then you're welcome to live here." But if you love them, if you love their parents and they've been kind, get up and help out. It's not about, oh, let them let go of that maid that they've been paying to come in and clean the house every single week. And you establish that responsibility. And the other thing is, you're an adult. Your parents are doing this because they love you and they're kind.
Mhm.
So, do you love them? And are you going to be kind? And how are you helping everyone in a tribal way win? Because you can still win together. If your parents are there and you're like, fine, I'll learn AI and I'll get on and I'll do an online business and I'll help out. I'll help you do this, then you're a family member. If you don't do anything but play video games, eat Cheetos, and drink some soda pop, you're a burden. And you don't want to be a burden. You're going to lose your self esteem if you don't become a family member. You're going to lose it. Now, that doesn't mean run the whole household and let your parents be a burden to you. That's not what's there. You want to learn what you're learning to do is work together right now and say, why don't all of you get on that wealth rules 5-year-plan.com, all of you,
Mhm.
and say, let's do this as a family. Here's where we are. It's okay if your kids know that you are so in debt. So in debt. And I remember in my 30s, Monique, I was with um, my son. I think he must have been like 12 or 13. He was in middle school. And I sat down because back then you had to write everything with a check. Ooh, I've aged myself. But there wasn't bill pay online. And he wanted to know how to write a check.
Mhm.
So we did the bills for that month and I showed him how to read it and everything else. Me and his, we sat down and he wrote it. He learned to write it. I mean, we had to sign it, obviously, but he learned it what it was. And then at the end of it, he was like, there's not enough money for this bill. And I was like, you're right. There's not enough money for this bill. And I let him sit there because then he said, what are we going to do? And
Mhm.
that's what I needed to hear. What are we going to do? And you're like, that's right. And here's why we have savings. Do you
Mhm.
see the savings? Here's how we move the money from here to here. Now, do we have enough money for that bill? Yes, we do. And so we paid off the bill. And it's like, it's okay if they see
Mhm.
they need to learn how to get through that stuff. And as we pivot from having, it's like no matter where you are, you may make a half a million a year, you're going to go upside down in your salary and your debt. Do you know what I mean? It's going to happen.
I do, and right now we're doing. The parents that I know are doing a disservice to their children. Like, I don't think my children, my sons, have ever cut the grass. Ever.
Wow.
I don't even think like they know how maybe to ride a lawnmower, but to put gas in one and pull the string, I'm not exactly sure they know how. We put so many systems in place
Mhm.
that I say cut out the things that are wasting your time.
Yep.
You can
Don't
learn from
clean
them.
your house. I did the same thing. That's what they told us to do.
Yeah,
We outsourced everything.
outsource it. Outsource the dry cleaning. Give me
Yeah.
all the clothes. We're going to the dry cleaners. You need anything done? Like we have a landscaper, cuts the grass, cuts the bushes. You know, he does it all. And if it doesn't look perfect, I think that's probably why my husband hasn't taught them, is because it's a certain way that it looks when it's clean and it's professional. But even our vacuum cleaner is robot.
Yeah, of course.
All you have to do is just, you know,
Just set it down and let it do its thing.
and there's boom, boom, boom. You know, I'm thinking, what? I mean, but they help out. They do. They help
Yeah.
out. They help out with different chores. They know how to clean the bathroom. They know how to cook. My daughter, my sons know how to cook. They know how to clean. They know how to now farm, garden. And I
Yeah,
was
you got good kids.
like, what in the
You
world?
got
What are
great
you
kids.
as parents with all these systems that we put in place that make our children dependent on somebody else doing the work? And what would
That's right.
happen if they didn't have the money to pay for their laundry and pay for their yard to get cut? What if they
Yeah.
didn't have that?
Yeah. And how do you do it and who do you let go of? And when you're looking at pivoting, that's part of the pivot. And if you do that, Wealth Rules 5-year plan, if you do that, then you're going to see ways where you can come within your means. And some of it might be, okay, we can't do karate lessons anymore, but then we have to give up the landscaping. And dad has to go back and get a lawnmower out, fill it with gas, and teach you how to mow the lawn and through it and everything else. Keep that up. And it's like it's like that's what they told you to do back in the 2000s. And outsourcing is awesome. At one point, we had a private cook that would come in and cook for us,
Mhm,
and we had housekeepers that came in. We'd do twice a week.
mhm,
They would come in, and there's only two. I don't even have any kids now. I mean, it's so ridiculous. And uh, some of the I loved having the housekeepers.
yeah,
Love, 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 love. And I love having a cook. And now the cooks are being replaced with DoorDash.
mhm,
Now that I live in the wilderness, I don't even live rurally. I live in the wilderness.
mhm,
There are no cooks up here. The best restaurants are around an hour away from us. An hour either way that
mhm,
you want to go. And so the thing was, one of the things that I find is that when I take over something like cooking for myself, it
mhm.
means I have to grow food or shop or do this other thing. I think we're going to have multi generational families become the norm. You're
Yeah,
going to have that. And I know women, this is really hard on them right now because they have no boundaries.
mhm,
And so they have lazy kids and parents to take care of, and they are doing it all when it really you need to come together as a tribe.
mhm,
So in my tribe, we still have my aunties are involved, my sisters are involved, my
mhm,
businesses are involved. My mother, who is 88 years old, still has her own business. She's still an investor. She
mhm,
still helps out wherever she can. She goes shopping. It's like, we'll give you the list. Somebody goes with her. There are two people shopping because,
mhm,
that's her thing. She loves to go shopping. And even if it's grocery shopping, and we're
mhm.
like, Mom, you got to back off the Amazon a little bit, because I see the driver pulling up every single day, dropping boxes off, and she's like, oh, well, my inventory comes here. So anyway, she still has all these things, but she
Right.
still has responsibilities.
Yes.
Now, we don't let her drive. She can drive still around to the post office or, the little general store that we have. She can do that. But she still has responsibilities in the house. She's the person who people talk to when they need sage advice. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? And it's
Yes.
like whatever you're doing, how we live as families is switching. This thing about remote work is something that makes moms more available to their kids. And it also makes it so that you have a business at home. And the thing that I think is going to happen, this is what I think is going to happen over time. I think it's going to be just like the 1700s, little slightly different. We're going to have online businesses versus a blacksmith or a printer business. We're going to have online businesses, and we're going to have farms or ways to grow food that is local. And you're going to have local relationships. I think it's going to be too expensive to fly blueberries from Costa Rica or bananas from Costa Rica or Chile's grapes or, that watermelon from some other place. I think it's going to be too expensive and families are going to say, no, buying local is smarter. I'll get my eggs at the farm stand. I get my vegetables at the farm stand. I get my fruit at the farm stand. And it's seasonal and local versus flown in. And is flown in going to be there? Yeah, but it's going to be at the luxury stores that are, what is it, Wegmans or
Yeah.
some of the big coast luxury stores that are going to be there where people are going to be, it's okay to buy this fruit for, $50. It's not going to be like that for the masses. And luxury, what?
Now I was going to say, too, you're going to be able to do a lot of things at home. Whereas even now, we're talking about sports. Those kids are going to be learning online. Those private coaches, which are an arm and a leg. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
but you're going to have to say to yourself, some of this stuff, maybe you might go twice a week. You're not going every day. We're not spending thousands of dollars a month. So even the people who are in person are going to have to pivot to online.
Yeah. Yeah. Or pivot together. Just recently, within 2024, my cousin um, went to his mom and he sees his mom is aging.
Mhm.
And he literally invested in the house that she lives in and he built an entire downstairs house. They sold the big house that they were at. They paid off all the debt that they had. They moved downstairs into the house that he's obviously going to inherit when she passes. But now there are 3 generations in the home. So the grandson gets to see his grandma every day, which makes grandma really happy.
Mhm.
And the son and his wife, they're living very kindly downstairs. And it's become a little more affordable. And they've done it because they have an athlete son who plays baseball and he's wicked good at it. He's like, the kind of thing that, pay for college baseball, then Major League Baseball. And he does have all the private coaches and everything else. But they condensed everything together and they're living in this house together and they're raising each other, so to speak, so
Right.
that he can take care of his grandma. That they shop together, things like that. But I see that happening a lot more.
Yeah.
And I think that we've gotten away from family because what happens is we were raised to be independent. Like when you go to college and you graduate, you get your degree, the city that you lived in is not where your job is. Your job is now in New York. And
Right.
suddenly you're the independent, we're going to make it after all women that are out there doing that thing. And then we meet our husband in New York. I mean, that's how I got from California to Colorado. I went
Mhm.
to college and I never went back.
Right.
So when it's like that's, when you go, you may never go back. And now you'll notice that remote work means that people don't have to stay in the place where they work. They can move and everybody's moving back home. It's part of the reason it's less expensive. I mean, San Francisco is a beautiful city, but it costs a fortune to live there. And you're
Mhm.
thinking to yourself, all my money in this rent when I could be helping my parents by
Mhm.
living with them, and I'm working and I'm participating in helping everybody have quality of life. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Especially with the price of residential assisted living,
Mhm.
families are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's just easier to have your parent at home and then just get a home health nurse. Those
Mhm.
facilities
Mhm.
that a lot of money.
Yes. But the thing is, what's happening when you're like, what do you do when you're upside down in your income, in your lifestyle? Being upside down in your income and your lifestyle means that you're living above your means and you don't know how to stop the engine. You don't
Yeah,
know how to say no. You don't want to disappoint everyone. So you'd rather be bankrupt. You'd rather lose the house, the everything, so everybody's homeless because you're unwilling to have a boundary and say no. You're with your groomzilla or your bridezilla, and you need to get rid of them. And right now, you're saying, well, if I get rid of him, he gets half of everything I own, or she gets half of everything you own. Yep, yep, you're right. That's going to happen. So accept that it's going to happen and figure out that second way to make income right now. If you're literally tired of being the only person who is making the effort to turn things around, you're married to the wrong person. It doesn't matter how much you love them. If they bankrupt you, they're going to leave you. Do you understand that? If they bankrupt you, they are going to leave you. It's about how you can make them comfortable, not how they can make you comfortable. And there's got to be a point in you where you say no. If you sit down with your bride or groomzilla, whichever you have, if you sit down with them right now and you take that Wealth Rose 5 year plan and they don't want to participate, you have your answer. Yes, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. Go get a grief counselor right now to help you get through that time. But if you don't, they are going to bankrupt you. You'll have no alternatives. You won't have any out. You don't have a second way to get paid. What's going to happen to you? You're going to lose everything. And then you're going to go through the rebuilding phase. And if you've lost everything and you go through the rebuilding phase, there is only one thing you can do. And I'm going to tell you what it is right now. You can build a lifeboat business. That's the answer that is there. And that lifeboat business, it isn't get rich quick. It's not high, it happens overnight, it happens over time. But if you build that lifeboat business, you are beginning to recover. And so, what's going to happen is some of you are going to ignore the message, or maybe you're listening and you're like, oh, that's really cool. And maybe you'll even go, okay, here's the link. The link is in the broadcast. I'll look at the
Mhm.
wealth rules plan, but then you don't take an action. Well, the
Mhm.
thing is, if you don't take an action, you're going to get your butt kicked. Even the wealthiest, there are going to be, you remember when 2008 happened? There was a hedge fund manager, multi-million dollar hedge fund manager who big house backed up on the golf course, had all the amenities, all the cars, etc. And it got to the point where he was in his Jaguar having to be and deliver pizza. He lost his hedge fund, he lost everything. He was so market based that when his hedge fund died and the mortgage collapse happened in 2008, he
Mhm.
had a Jaguar and he was pulling up in his Jag delivering pizza for $7 an hour after he was making about half a million to a million a year. You think it can't happen to you because you're wealthy, wealthy, wealthy right now, and you have advisors, you have planners, you have people who make money off your people.
Mhm.
They're not going to tell you the truth. You
No.
got to go explore and take a hold, get your put yourself at the helm and sit there and go get that. And you get that Wealth Rules 5-year plan. And it's .com, Wealth Rules number 5-year plan.com. And look at it. Find out where you are. If
Mhm.
you don't know where you're jeopardized, then you cannot make the right move for you. You cannot make the next move. So then, if you're like, man, I lost everything and you have to rebuild, you need a second way to get income now, or you need to have some backup that helps you close that gap so that you're not upside down in your salary or upside down in your mortgage, because that's going to happen. Some of you are already there. Then you need to go and get a lifeboat business started. Thank you for putting the link up there, Monique, for the independent woman. There is going to be a product coming up on Substack for us that is going to be a second way to get paid. And I think it's super important that people realize what's coming, and that you're about this close from the storm hitting. Right now, I'm telling you, I see the tornado. It's time to get in the basement. It's time to be in the cellar. It's time for you to gather your family and get in that root cellar while the storm crosses. You know what I mean?
Most definitely. With everything that's going on in the world right now, with the strait being closed, with the dollar being, nobody wants the dollar, right? So there's de-dollarization, but with us not being able to sell our debt, when you start looking at the inflation of it all, even with the S&P 500, it's so interesting that it's doing so good, and then gold was dropping with the war going on.
Yeah.
That made me just think, does anybody else see this? Typically, that's when gold is increasing. We don't trust, the dollar. Everything is uneasy. Let's go buy more gold, more silver. The
Mm-hmm.
dollar, gold went up, and then gold dropped. And then the S&P is strong because, of course, the Magnificent Seven. But that's, to me, odd.
Yes.
So we want to pay attention even more to what's going on. And then I look at the private market, and I'm seeing that that's not safe either. You have a lot of companies that are wobbling. I'm like, wow, insurance industry. That makes me say, you know what? I need a 5-year plan. I need to know exactly how I can make sure that me and my family are not going to be one of the ones who are homeless, who are bankrupt, who are not able to sleep at night. Just, I like peace. I
Yeah,
like
me too.
to go to sleep and go to sleep without waking up every 5 minutes. Like I have to be awake so I can figure out what's happening. When I just look at the writing on the wall, it just makes me feel the sense of urgency is now. There's too many things happen at one time. It's like the perfect storm. I know even last night on Doak, and he was talking about, well, like when I bought SpaceX, right? Like it's private market,
Yeah.
and you can't buy it. It's, the IPO hasn't launched yet, but you have to spend like 20, 30,000 to even get in it.
Yeah. That's right.
This isn't anything that you want to play with. You understand what I'm saying? Like he was like, "Oh, I bought SpaceX," and he was like, "Ooh, you might want to sell it." And I was like, "What is happening right now? What is happening?" And he's handled billion-dollar hedge funds,
Yeah.
so he's not the type of person that you would just say he might not know what he's talking about or he's crazy. Like you want to pay attention, and then you want to do your own research.
Mm-hmm.
So it just made me start thinking even more like, thank God that I'm in the position that I'm in right now. My kids are working toward this with us. We're
Yeah.
all on board. Even their friends are starting to see, and my community is starting to see it. I mean, I'm brown in a garden on the farm. You don't see that. Our cars when we pull up, it's like, what are y'all here doing? Like all the appraisers know we're the owners.
That's right. Yeah. Are you the appraisers? No, we're the owners. And
Where's
that's
your
what you
pickup
want.
truck? Where's your pickup truck? Where's the this and that? Yeah, you know,
Uh,
it's us.
yeah. So I want to talk about where I have my money. And because a lot of people are asking, well, if you don't have your money in the market, where do you have it?
Mhm.
I have it in hard assets, all of them, anything that I own. So it's like I don't like gold ETFs. Those are all market based. And I think market based come with contracts that are not very good for people. So, one of the things that I do is I like commodities a lot. I'm a very big Jim Rogers fan.
Mhm.
Now, what I know is if you get to the point where you have a gold ETF, but you don't have a carton of milk and a loaf of bread, or you are paying for a carton of milk like 10x the price you used to pay last year, etc., then what are you going to want more? Are you going to want your gold ETF, or are you going to want, and you can't say both.
Right.
I want both because you have to sell that ETF in
Mhm.
order to get access to it. And now, if you have to sell from your permission based assets, that's what most of you have is permission based assets. Okay, now I got to call my mutual fund company and tell them, look, in order to save myself, I need a $50,000 out of my mutual fund because I got to pay off my debt right now, or I'll lose my house or my family for whatever reason. They're going to be like, if you want access to your money in an emergency, then here's a requirement. You got to be sick or on your way to dying. But if not, then you're paying a third in penalties plus taxes.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm like, okay, so a third in penalties plus taxes. How much of that are you now taking out? 70,000, 75,000, in order to give away that big chunk of money so you can have access to your money? And those, I was going to use a foul word, insurance people who
Mhm.
sell whole life insurance and say, look, this is what the rich people do. Bullshit. It's
Yes.
not what the rich people do. And you are harming people by getting them to put their money in something that pays measly money to them
Yeah.
and says, well, if you need access to your money, there's penalties and dues again. This is the whole thing about being permission based.
Mhm.
And then when they access their money, they're making so little on that money. I mean, your scams are about to die. And that's kind of to me the thing that is so important. It's like you don't actually learn about what the insurance contract says or does. You don't learn that. You
Yeah.
work for a company that says, this is our product. This is what you say. This is how you say it. This is how you close it. Repeat after me. You're not actually learning the thing. You've passed a licensing test. I know because I've passed that licensing test and taken it. And
Yeah.
the thing is, once you evaluate the contract and you see what's actually happening in the world, I don't know how you go to sleep at night selling them those products. I don't know how you go to sleep making sure that they're permission based to a company that doesn't give a crap about your client. And neither do you. You just need to make that closing sale at the end of the month so you get paid. And that to me isn't building wealth. That's harming people. And if these people knew what other choices they had, they wouldn't buy your product. And I'm like, you know what? I am still a person who says, if you need insurance, I like term. I
Sure.
like term insurance, flat level term. I buy, I die, you pay. That's it. It's not complex. It's that simple. And that at the end of that, you're actually keeping families safe. And then it's like, you're right. It's very interesting what Monique is saying. Look for yourself. Why is gold going down? Why is crypto going down?
Mhm.
Why is the market soaring? Don't just say, look at me, I'm making money, it's soaring. You don't know how to protect yourself then. You don't own it. You don't have it. It's not there. What she said is so important. Monique, I know that um, real estate is definitely going through some changes right now. And I know that the private equity people are still pitching like, oh my gosh, if the collapse is going to happen in the United States, we have investments outside of the United States. There's properties you can buy around the country. But let me ask you what your thoughts are about foreign investments and domestic investments in real estate and how you feel about them.
Well, first of all, I want to say that the stock market with the S&P and everything else is going up. Like we're talking about, Bitcoin is going down and gold is going down. I
So is
know,
silver.
yes, I know people that are putting more money into the market because they see it rising. People who are trying to double down and, oh, I want to put more money into it. And people who were not market driven, like, oh, Nvidia went crazy, and everybody's in it now. And I feel like it's intentional because you're driving more and more people to the market to get more people there, but you're not saying what would happen if there's a downturn.
Yeah.
So if there's a war going on in Iran and gold is dropping, how long is that market going to keep going up? At some point, everybody in there right now is making a bunch of money. Those 7 companies are making a lot of money. And then if there's a downturn, they made their money.
Yeah.
Guess who's going to get their money?
That's right.
Guess who's not going to get their money? Everyone who was either standing on the fence or had a little bit in, but then decided to go all in because they're just seeing it doing the best right now. I think it's only doing well right now because more and more people are jumping onto the bandwagon right now. The more
Agreed.
people going in, the increase is going up. But so let's talk about domestic and foreign. So with foreign right now, you have so many rules. You think about Europe with the facial recognition, and you start thinking about your passport. Like Americans are going through it. Some of us have already decided to go ahead and get it done, which is fine. They're already going to have your face, your fingerprint.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So we were just like, you know what? Let's just go ahead and get it done. Some people are being stopped. Some people are having a hard time traveling. And once they get over there, it's a problem. They're sitting in the airports for hours at a time. Wow. Some aren't, some are. And so you got to start thinking international rules. You got to know how to play their game internationally. Everyone wants to travel and to move, but what is happening over there with legislation? People just think, oh, I just want to, get a second home, or I want to travel, and the United States is being de-dollarized. I want to go over here and move. You don't even know the rules to the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't have an attorney. You don't have a realtor. You don't have any understanding of what you can do. Some of those places you have to be a citizen to own the land, to do anything over there. So
That's right.
To give you an example of why I'm saying that is, without naming companies, we were invited to a private equity and real estate deal, which seemed harmless. It was a hotel deal, seemed very lucrative. So the person is the intermediary. She would get paid for bringing people to the event. She was not the one with the hotel. She vetted the deal, but she was not the one with the deal with the bank for the hotel. She wasn't building it. She just vetted it and said, hey, this seems like a good deal. I want to invite everybody to this country. Sit down and let's have a conversation. Well, when you put your money in, you're like, okay, well, I thought 5 years. But what's the return? Oh, yeah, we didn't get enough investors in. It went through the first round. We need to do a second round. So we're on hold. But once we get all the investors in, then our money. And I was like, wait a minute, so I'm going to get my money back. So I can't talk to her because she's just the person that introduced the deal. I can't talk to the owners because they're one person removed. They don't want to. We got to talk. We got to have attorney to attorney conversations about when is it going to be built, what is the holdup. Someone didn't know the laws with the permits.
Whoa.
held up the deal.
Held it up.
So that was a done deal. It was like, okay, well, we just knew in our mind we're not going to get our money back.
Yep.
Like
That's hard.
yeah. And it
That's
went,
hard.
yeah. Let's
And
just move.
so it's like that's the thing that you have to stop buying the slick thing anymore.
Mhm.
And that's why ownership is everything. Investing and ownership are two different things.
Yeah.
And next Wednesday, we're going to be talking about the difference between investing and owning because we think when we invest that we own, and you don't. You have a claim to, and they can deny your claim and that's so vastly different. And the wealthy people don't invest in the market because they don't invest in claims. They invest in ownerships. And people are like, well, the rich keep getting richer. Yes, because they don't do the stupid thing that we're doing. If we stopped doing this stupid thing that we're doing, we'd be just like them. And you would see that ownership, the equity, it's like when you own your home and the equity goes up. There is so much more in having land because I just want to talk to you about 2 months ago. There was maybe when the war broke out and it was there for a few months. Everybody, all the farmers, everyone got online. Farmers that had never been online on YouTube right now, they got online and they were, they took their hat off and they were talking to a camera. They never talked before. They're not trying to be sexy. They're like, hi, my name is Farmer John. My family has been farming this land that I'm on for 5 generations. I'm the fifth generation that's got it. And I want to let you know that right now we don't have enough fertilizer to make the food that we need to make. And so even a professional that got on DOAC said, we have enough food to feed 2 billion people out of 8 billion people.
Mm.
Back then, that's what
Yeah.
they're saying back then. So if you're smart in your brain, what's the number one business to have right now if you only have enough food to feed 2 billion people when there's 8 billion people on the planet? Even the LDS church is saying, they usually put, you know, $8 million worth of food trucked everywhere, tons of food. And even their warning now, the LDS church owns millions and millions of acres so that they can make food. They own millions of acres, and
Mhm.
even they're putting out the warning. So,
Yes.
what's the number one thing that you need to do? Do you really need to go invest in that private equity deal? Or maybe you should figure out where you're going to grow your food. Or if you're not going to grow your food and there's only enough food to feed 2 billion people out of 8 billion people, how expensive do you think your food is going to be?
Mhm.
Or is your food even going to be at the grocery store? Is food going to be at a grocery store? So, I want to tell you this last story before we wrap up this episode. In 2008, I was on book tour on the East Coast. And back then, there were two companies that ran your book tour. And you were either contracted to Borders or Barnes and Noble. And so then you'd go to all the whoever contracted you, all the Borders or Barnes and Nobles in on that area. And so that would take your book tour on that area. Uh, so when we went there, I remember I was in Massachusetts and it was like early December that this storm came in and it shut the power off in 5 states and even up into Canada, up
Wow.
into Canada. And lucky for me, dropped um I dropped somebody off. I can't remember who, but on my way back I was like, I'll just stop for gas and I topped off my tank. I didn't know the storm was coming. I hadn't been paying attention to the news. I was just like, we're here, let's do it. So I drive back. I'm staying at an inn, at the inn where uh, it was in Littleton, Massachusetts, and it was this gorgeous, cute little inn with this crazy owner, but just gorgeous, cute little inn. And the storm happened, and we happened to be in the house. And lucky for us, they had an under the ground generator. And the inn was one of the original old buildings. And in the morning, we were the only place for 5 states that had any energy or lights on. Everything else around us was nothing. They had to call in the National Guard day number 2 because they wanted welfare checks. There were trees in the road that had to be removed. It
Mm,
was just this enormous storm. So we were like, wow. And I was in this inn that had electricity, and I could see on TV and see how all of the states were out of electricity for more than 9 days. And so what happened was the high school at the end of the street I was on, there was a high school there, and people in the local areas could get 1 shower a week. And
mm,
they had to go to the high school. Well, there were broken homes everywhere. Trees fell on everything. Cars couldn't move. So about day number 7 or 8, we were checking on Robin's sister who had little kids and everything else.
yeah,
And the husband had drove all the way to the Cape to get a generator to bring it back because they weren't able to flush their toilets for 9 days. I mean, that's really rough.
mhm,
So we think we can't have those conditions, but if you've asked these people with floods and fires, you can have those conditions. So anyway, we decide I have a 4-wheel drive vehicle. It's loaded with everything. And I decide, you know what, we'll stop at the grocery store and we'll come to your house and we'll bring you some food and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. So we get in the car and we drive to the grocery store, and we had to be very careful. There was debris still on the highway, lines down, and there was, cops telling you to go this way and that way. And they were like asking you to please stay home if you could. But
right.
we had to bring some food to this family. So I get into, I can't remember the name of the store we stopped at, but it's one of those big grocery stores. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to run in and get some stuff, etc. And I run in and the door opens and I step in and there's nothing, nothing in there, nothing. There was a manky apple, a manky carrot, and I'm
Mm,
looking at Rose, and it looked like a brand new store that had put the shelves up and now they were going to stock the shelves.
mhm,
And I kept looking down the aisles. I kept looking down the aisles, and there was some dry goods, macaroni in a plastic bag, no bread, no milk, no butter, no eggs, no dairy, nothing. And I remember the feeling I had when I walked in there, the shock. I was like, no, this is a place we go get food. This is the place where it happens. And
mhm.
empty. And there was no trucks coming up to fill up that store. They had nothing in the back. Imagine going in and there being no chicken, no beef, no lamb, no nothing.
Wow.
And it's like suddenly I realized we're going empty handed to this house. So I come back to the truck and I'm like, you won't believe it. There's nothing in there. There's a manky carrot and 1 apple and a bag of macaroni. And there's no cheese, just pasta. And so I, in my stupid mind, because I'm so trained, I turned and I said, well, let's go to Subway and get some sandwiches for them and bring it. I was so used to this system, I couldn't stop thinking that. And Robin had to go, Vickie, there's no Subway there. It's not going to be there. It's closed. And I
Mhm.
was like driving slow, looking for something that was open. But they had no ingredients that came in. Their systems completely stopped. And for some reason, we don't think we can go through that again.
I mean, we went through COVID. We
Yep.
know we know things can shut down
Hmm.
systematically,
Hmm.
shut the entire country and the world down.
Yeah. And what I saw was the loop of my conversation I kept having with myself. I kept thinking, well, we'll just go to Taco Bell then. No, no, don't you see the system is down? And I'm like, it's the same when earthquakes happen. It's the same when forest fires happen. It's the same when floods happen.
Mhm.
And we think we need to be prepared for 3 days when there are farmers saying to you, pay attention now. When there are farmers out there who are saying, we only have enough food for 2 billion people. That means help yourself now. Now, do something now. Get a second way to get paid. Find out where you are upside down. Because right now you're like, well, I got plenty of equity. Well, you might want to tap into some of that equity before you can't, before credit's going to get tight again, just like it did in 2008. This isn't a storm I think we're going to recover from in 18 months.
Yeah,
It's not. So I want to say thank you for, hanging out with us for a couple hours today and talking about this. Next week, we're going to talk about the difference between investing and owning, because I know a lot of people think they know that. I did. I thought I knew the difference between investing and owning. And what is your next move?
yes,
Well, between now and next Wednesday, go to wealthrules5yearplan.com, sit down with your family and have that conversation. I think that's so important. May I ask you one question?
sure.
How did you start the conversation with your family? I mean, maybe parents are saying, I don't know how to start that conversation with my kids. And can you tell me, like, how did you start it?
Sure, again, I have critical thinking children, so let me just preface this.
Hmm.
But you can start anywhere with your children. Just ask them, do they know what's happening right now? Ask them, what do they think is going on in the world? They go to school. Their teachers talk about it. Their friends talk about it. They have more conversations about what's going on in the world than you know that they're having. But just like, hey, what do you think would happen if they shut off the strait in Iran for a month or two? I don't know. Why would you say that? Because think about how much comes through there. And they don't know, so you have to kind of explain to them in a way that is age appropriate. If they're like 10, well, think about all the toys that are coming through. And what if you went to the store and you looked on the shelf and there was only one Superman, but you didn't have your games, your video games, whatever, even a baseball and a bat. If it's only one or two things, how would that affect you?
Mm.
And so when we start having conversations, I'm like, okay, well, now let me ask you this: if it got worse, what do you think the worst case scenario would be?
Yeah.
And then we start having dialogue, and then their critical thinking kicks in. Wow, well, I can make money doing X, Y, and Z, and what if you don't have a customer? Because everyone
Mm.
is saying they can't have luxury items anymore. What if now they have to depend on getting gas for their car, food for their family, energy bill, everything's going up because of inflation. What if they have to start paying for that instead of a coffee at Starbucks? Now, Starbucks may not be a luxury to some people, but some people are like, oh, I'm going to get a coffee before I go to work. Every day for 30 days, that's $300.
Yeah.
So what if you have a business, but your business is not at the top of the list? What if it's not an A bill business? What if it's C bill? Now you have to deal with a lack of customers. Well, I don't want to have to depend on customers coming to my house or coming to my business to be able to make money. You got to be able to do something and think of what you can do that is not based on supply, demand, and transportation, because you already know if the strait is closed, that stuff isn't coming through. You
That's
already
right.
know At some point, they're going to stop manufacturing goods. Those products that we love so much are going to be on delay, back order somewhere. Even like I was telling you about the cleats and the spikes. I'm like, wait a minute. I can't order those right now? These are
Right.
very, very expensive. I think $500. How come they're out of stock?
Yeah.
What is going on? So we just start having those conversations, and at some point, I say, well, this is what I think, and tell me what you think based on
Hmm.
my suggestions.
Yes.
I just keep recommending alternatives to the point where it's like, okay, you know what, that makes sense. And if it doesn't make sense, I have children that will tell me, I don't think that doesn't. What is that? That doesn't make any sense because this, and that. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. You might be right. Let me go back to the drawing board. Let me think about it again. Or I've already
Mhm.
thought about it and I know the answer. So I just tell them, I know what you're saying and I hear you because children want to be seen and heard too. And
That's
it's
right.
important that you include them in the conversation. But if
Amen to that.
you have to do what's right for your family, and you got to allow them to see it because once they see it, they can't unsee it.
What would you say to the parent who wants to um, keep their child's innocence intact and they're not saying what's going to happen? What would you say to that parent? Because the first thing you said is, I have critical thinkers. So I don't think a lot of parents think about, well, my kids are learning, so they must be becoming critical thinkers. And
Mhm.
that's not necessarily true.
Yeah,
You made critical thinkers on purpose, and they're raised. Your kids already have businesses. I mean, they're a different group of genius. There, you have a tribe of geniuses. But I'm looking at the parent who thinks, I don't think my child should be burdened with these topics. I don't think they should. I think that's an adult responsibility. And even though you're struggling madly, you would never say to a kid who is used to getting everything they want, you don't want to ruin their innocence. You want them to believe that they can have, or you're going to ruin their manifestation abilities if you bring this into them. You know what I mean?
right. Like Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want them to keep a certain level of innocence and naivety, but you don't want to burden them with real life and real responsibilities. I get that too. You don't have to tell them exactly what's going on in the world. You don't have to tell them about de-dollarization. They're going to panic.
Yeah.
So what you can do is talk to them about budgeting. If there's not any food in the grocery store, how would we eat? You have to be able to figure that part out. Like if there's no food in the grocery store, we'd have to plant food. Okay, so maybe it'd be a good idea for us to start a garden. Start small. To start on the
I
farm.
love the questions you're asking your children. You're not telling them, you're making an inquiry so that they can think for themselves. If there's no food in the grocery store, how would we eat? And they're probably going to go DoorDash or Uber Eats. So, that next level of question to help them understand, nope, there's no DoorDash, no Uber Eats, because they would need food and there's no food, right? So, now what do we do? And I love the inquiry where you allow them to think for themselves and say things and ask questions. That dialoguing is really important. You're not saying, holy crap, it hit the fan and we're going to sink, or we may not, blah, blah, blah. But we're going to be together. If we all starve, we're going to be together starving. That is not what people want to do. But I just think it's so important the way you're asking questions. And, if parents ask questions, then once they say, well, we need to grow food, and you say, well, I think we need to do that, do you just go, how do you think we should do that? What do you think are the things we need to put in place for that? What's that next level? It's like your whole family is with everybody in the group. Like, this is our farm
Mhm.
and we do everything right. And that's how we do it. You know what I mean?
You know, when we got together, our garden is called our family garden. I
Mhm.
knew, I was like, you know what, our first year, it may not be the best, right? Like we're just trying to figure life out.
Never is. You're doing your thing.
And so I said, what do you want to plant? I want to plant potatoes. I want to plant tomatoes. I want to plant ginger. I want to plant, you know, my daughter wants to
Beautiful.
plant flowers. I was like, you know what? Let's plant everything. Let's just see how it all goes. To get your
Yeah.
kids on board, you can't start off with anything hard or complicated. I'm just telling you right now. You got to be able to say, let's do what you want to do. Because when they start seeing it grow, they're going to want to water it. They're going
Yeah.
to want to prune it. They're going to see the bugs on it and say, nope, how do I prevent that? Then they're going to want to have a process in place to duplicate that again next year. You don't want to have something that's just like, we didn't start at 5 acres at first. I already knew we needed help. We needed training. We needed to get around people who were in our community, who were farmers, who would go to the farmers market. We're out there volunteering because I already knew we don't know what we're doing. We just you can read a book and you can get out there, but education on a farm is nothing like your plants are going to be perfect. Some of them are going to die. Some of them are going to just flourish, and you have to figure it out. But when you ask those probing questions, and right now, I mean, we have a lot of friends who invest in their kids' education. We have a lot
Hmm.
of people who are in our community who want to know how to do things in the right way with their children. Does that make sense? So
Hmm.
even if they don't have the answer, they'll try to get the answer. So that's what I try to do. My children had friends. Their parents were like, "What is going on? How do you do that?" I'm like, "We're trying to figure it out together." Well, my kid wants to come over because I'm not. I don't have a garden, but they want to learn. So can I bring them to you so that they can learn? And so sometimes, if you don't know how to talk to your children, if you don't know how to get them on board, get them with a friend who
Yeah.
actually is doing what you want your child to do. Your kids don't just wake up in the morning and say, "Oh, I'm a baseball player." They went out there with a team of other kids, found that they were good at something, got a coach involved, got training, and then excelled at something that you thought that they were going to maybe like, but they fell in love with it. Now they're great. I had an idea for a garden. I didn't know what it was going to be. We just started it, and then friends started coming, and then they fell in love with the garden. And then the parents started asking me, you know, what are you doing? How are you getting them involved? And can I just bring my kid over? So not to say that everything is money based, but because my time is involved, because my
Yep.
children's time is involved, because it turned into a business. Let me just put it that way.
That's right.
Did it start off as a business? No, we're not money hungry, but it turned into one because of what we were doing, and everybody else wanted to bring their kids to an environment where they could learn without having to teach them. So I understood that. I respected it. You got to be able to respect my time as a chaperone and my kids' time because now I got to structure time for them to be able to come out, teach, and learn at the same time. So yeah, there's conversation involved there, but the love of it and the kids just out there and they're hungry to know how to farm and how to garden and what are y'all going to do? That's why it just broke my heart, Vickie, when the goats didn't work out. I had plans for the goats to monetize with the soap and the body wash and the lotion, and that's my brand. So we had a name for it, with my government, and that was going to be fun. But it was like, okay, it's not time right now.
It will be.
Yes, it will be.
It's like you add on a section as it is. It's something, it's a business. You build it over times. You add divisions and all sorts of things. And so, I mean, I think that's really great. So I want to talk to the alone person. People think you're wacky. They don't believe you. You don't have any authority. And they're just like, yeah, yeah, whatever, whatever. Yeah, yeah, whatever. You have to show yourself and them some grace. Now, it doesn't mean that you stop putting together or preparing or doing anything. It doesn't mean you stop. You let them have their feelings and you let them come to their own realization. You have to allow them to be and think that you're wacko and that, I've been talking about this that we're talking about since 2008. Because when I saw it crash in 2001 after the towers dropped, and I started paying attention at 2008, I didn't know they were going to kick the can down the road with quantitative easing and get us to this trillion-dollar debt that we have. And we talk about this all the time on this show.
Mhm.
America, you still believe that this is the land of the opportunity, and you still believe that the streets are paved with gold. But that's no longer true. The streets are paved with debt. Debt. Every dollar, almost $40 trillion worth of debt. We are now going to be upside down. We do not make enough money to pay our bills every single month in this country. And all we care is, well, I have my life, right? I still have my comforts. I still have my. I'm telling you, do you know that every single person, if we were to divide our debt today, is 140,000 per person in your home? So that's if there's two of you, it's 140,000 times two.
Mhm.
If there's 9 of you, it's 140,000 times 9. If there's 4 of you, it's 140,000. That's just our government debt. So on top of all the debt that you have right now, and you're like, "Well, the government's gonna save you." It's broke. The government is broke.
Yes.
Nobody's buying their debt. And the
Mhm.
thing is, you have to accept right now, if they're not believing you and you're there by yourself, get yourself networked to a place that does believe. Go find your local community garden. Get involved with those people there. They're the kindest, most uplifting, food
Yeah.
producing. Because I'm telling you, the number one business, I think Jim Rickards, he said, the millionaires, the people that are driving Lamborghinis are going to be people who own farms.
Mhm.
So I'm like, great investment. And he said that way back, I think probably in 2010, maybe 2008 when he came out with his book. I can't remember what year he came out with it, but it was around that time. And so there has been plenty of time to prepare. And we're nearing this. I know you think the government is going to come up with another way to protect us from the demon of debt. But it's not the demon of debt. It's that people don't want our dollars, that
Mhm.
energy costs are going skyrocketing, that the market is literally held up by 7 little companies that are struggling right now. And there are professionals saying, get out of the market right now, right now, right now. So when they start saying that, it's coming. And it's your time to learn to talk to your kids. Learn
Mhm.
to help them be critical thinkers. Learn to help them see what they're going to have to do in order to accommodate what's happening, because daddy's going to be upside down in his career, mom's going to be upside down in his career. The power of their money is shrinking, so everything's costing more. And some people are afraid. They're afraid. But right now, you go to wealthrules5yearplan.com and take that assessment. It's going to help you pivot, help you have structure. And if we leave anything for you today, because we've been on for nearly 2.5 hours talking about something that is so important, we
Yes.
are sounding, I hope that we are sounding the bell in enough time for you to take action now and do something so that you can be part of this solution, part of the thing that's there. Monique, what do you want to add?
I was gonna say all the. If you look at, you see right now the professionals in the financial um, space, everyone is saying get out, sell. When everyone does that, think about it. You don't want to be the one that's still trying to get in or the one that's in. They've been saying it for a while now, and somebody's going to wake up in the morning and say, you know what? I need to do that. And when they do, And when people come out, it's not going to be what it is right now. It's going to be something totally different. So
Yeah.
what we're saying today, and we're talking about, income being upside down, your debt making you upside down, inflation, everything else, but at some point, discernment and wisdom has got to kick in.
Yeah.
You've got to take action, and we can't do it for you. Again, this isn't financial advice. We're just having a conversation, but hopefully this conversation will ignite something. And if you found this video, this podcast, days from now, because you are searching, and you are like, I need an answer,
Here it is.
here it is.
Yeah. I just want to say I love having this conversation with you. I love warning as many people as we can. Next Wednesday, we're going to be talking about the difference between investing and ownership. And I think you know, but by the time you get done with a conversation with us, you'll absolutely know. I want to thank you for joining us and hanging out today and going with us through the whole conversation. And we'll see you next Wednesday for Wealth Rules.
Yes.
And thank you very much for being with us today. Okay, bye bye.
Bye.